thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. Killing the game and I gotta go ask anybody, they all heard about it. They know when the kid and he's spitting it, know when he get in it, bit and I get in my way. Got this, I like do whatever I say, cause I could go put you on blast. People been mad at me cause I don't follow them back. I'm laughing cause that is so whack. Why they all trying to act like they been bossing when really their boss has been bossing them up? Nobody ever been telling me what I would do when I keep in the cash for the shit out of luck. I want it more, now I get what I wish. Upgrading now with some pants that I whip. Making 6 figures, don't talk about it. Money ain't shit, it's about how you think. Tired of people who making excuses, then they complain about losing. Tell me about what you've been doing, tell me about how you been moving. You ain't got nothing to prove then. I did it all on my own, they looking like all of my clones. I don't be following trends, fuck all the popular clothes. You faking and everyone knows. I just be keeping it real, they thinking that I have to go sign a deal. But really the people just found an appeal. I'm in my own lane and I'm steering the wheel, ayy. It's funny how it goes, funny how it goes. Working every night till the sunrise.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your boy, Mr. Smash Every Blazing Record, and I'm back with another episode of The Sit Down Show. Today, joining me, ladies and gentlemen, is a special guest. This is a XCW Hall of Famer. You guys saw him in that little intro package just moments ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to help me in welcoming Mr. Chris Jones. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. I want to say thank you for having me on your show.
All right, no doubt. So the reason that I wanted to have you as a guest on the show is, for one, because I do watch you guys' product. I watch your show, No False Finish. I watch the latest show, Cold Day in Hell. I've been watching you guys for a while. Not only that, I've actually been in the process of trying to start my own wrestling company. But with COVID going on and stuff like that, it's kind of been, you know how that goes. So that's the reason I wanted to have you on the show, probably to try to get some pointers from you on, things that I could do trying to go forward with my company, but also just get a little rundown on Mr. Chris Jones, because like I said, I watch you guys' product and I know a few things about you that my fans don't know. So with that being said, Mr. Chris Jones, you're a member of the XCW roster. How long have you been in XCW?
Just XCW alone, I've been a member since April 16th, 2004. I debuted at Sin in a Battle Royal.
2004, so that's, 16, 17 years or so, huh?
Yeah, I've actually been wrestling since 1996.
Wow, and if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
As of yesterday, actually, I just turned 32, so I've been doing something wrestling-related since I was 7.
Wow. That's very awesome. So, like I said, I watch you guys, and I know that currently you're actually retired. So what was that led to your retirement?
Being, since I've been wrestling for like 25 years, essentially, something wrestling-related, just the toll it's taken on the body over the years. If I'm not mistaken, I think 2013, I took a real nasty 3D, and the people weren't positioned properly, and I ended up scorpioning on my neck. And so the neck's been sore for a long time, but just the body over the years, beating it, barbed wire, thumbtacks, fluorescent light bulbs, chairs, ladders, and ladders are absolutely my favorite weapon to use. Just all the punishment and pain my body's taken over the years, and we've been getting a lot of newer people joining the XCW roster. So being that I am an XCW Hall of Famer, joined the class of 2005, and I've pretty much done everything in XCW that there is to do. There's a few things I haven't done, a few things Chris Jones hasn't been able to accomplish, but for the most part, me and Fletch, the guy that owner operator of XCW, we decided it's time to give the newer guys time to shine.
Sir. Okay, so as you mentioned, you've been doing this for a very long time. So what is one of your favorite, or what you would consider your best match that you've ever had?
It's a show called The Farewell Show in XCW in 2008, and I've actually done some stuff on the independent circuit too. But even though this is a backyard moment, so to speak, I got to wrestle two of my best friends in what was a lot of people thought it was the end of XCW at the time. But what it really was is the door closing for a few people that were going on to do some other things and kind of a introduction to some newer people. So I got to wrestle my two best friends in the whole world. We've been friends. We've known each other over 25 years, and Cynical and Fletch. And then the special guest referee, another one of our good friends we've known for over 20 years, and Hazard. So it's a triple threat match for the XCW Championship, and it's highly regarded as the best match in XCW history.
Great answer there. Is that show still available on you guys' YouTube page?
Yes, that show should be available on the YouTube page. It should be labeled as XCW Farewell Show 2008.
Okay, we'll have
It's definitely worth the watch.
We'll put the link in the description of that so the fans or so the people can go check it out. Next question I have here is how many different wrestling companies? Matter of fact, before I even ask this question, we're going to go to a little graphic here. I believe if I got things set up right, we're okay. You should still be able to hear me now. This I pulled from you guys' website. Now, as we can see here, you're well, back in the day, I'm pretty sure this was the early pick. You know, you're about 150 pounds. We see here that over a few different brands, you've actually held about 23 championships. You've done things like win the Money in the Bank, the Extreme King, the King of the Mountain. You've done it all. Like you said, you've done it all. Class of 2005 Hall of Fame. So where I was going to go with this next question was out of those 27 or 23 championship reigns, how many different organizations were those with?
First, I want to start off by saying I actually never won the Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank was not one of those topics listed. Chris Jones has never been able to grab that briefcase. But I think probably my best reign of all of those is one of the World Championships in XCW, more than likely.
Okay, and I'm sorry about that. It's kind of hard for me to see because I'm actually standing way back here on my green screen, and my screen that I'm looking at is.
It's all right.
Here. So sorry about that, but okay. So you said World Heavyweight Championship run in XCW.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you don't aspire to be the heavyweight champion in whatever particular brand you're in, what are you doing in the wrestling business? And I've been the top heel before, and I've been the top face, and the world title is what it's all about.
So are you a fan of like the actual professional product, WWE, AEW, stuff like that?
I am a big wrestling fan. This is where me and Fletch are kind of on separate fences. He's more into like the storytelling and that kind of aspect of wrestling. So he's more into the WWE. And don't get me wrong, I love WWE as well, but I'm more into the cruiserweights, the high flying. So I'm more on the AEW fence. But yes, I somewhat keep up with the product with my busy work schedule as much as I can. But yes, I'm definitely a big wrestling fan.
Okay, so the reason I asked that question, I was going to ask. I know Black History Month is over, and I mean, this is probably not a question that you would. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about this question, but how do you feel about Bobby Lashley becoming the new WWE champion?
I mean, he's been in the game for a minute. I feel he probably should have won a long time ago, but it's a good way to pay tribute to someone that's put the time into the business. And not only is Bobby Lashley, obviously, he's been in WWE, he's been in TNA, he's also a mixed martial artist fighter. And Bobby Lashley is one of the only three African Americans to win the world title in three different major corporations.
Yeah. So congratulations to him. I know. I mean, that's not something that he's probably never going to see this video or anything like that. But congratulations. You know, that was a big win. I actually didn't get to watch it that night, but I saw all the pictures. I was like, man, I was kind of busy. Just like you, I'll be working a lot too, so I don't really get to catch every product. But I'm leaning on the fence towards like where you at. I'm more of an AEW guy right about now. They just seem to be able to bring more action, it seems like they could fit more into their little 2 hours than WWE does in their 3 hours on Raw.
I'm more into the high flying stuff. That's where I like to shine.
I see in your entrance video you were doing a lot of like swanton front flip type deals. I'm pretty sure, is that what led to your early retirement? With the
Oh, no. That's actually one of the things that doesn't hurt as much. Um, I don't want to call them cushions, but you got your dance partner across from the ring from you. You got that opponent, and they catch you the proper way or catch you properly, you don't get hurt. Mainly, bumping in the ring, bumping on the ground, all the weapon shots over the years. That's mainly the thing. The flips and stuff really doesn't hurt as much as some people would think.
Okay, so this isn't a question I wrote down, but I noticed that before you guys went on like a little break or whatever, you were doing your shows out in the backyard, and it seemed like you guys had maybe a 16, 18-foot ring or something like that, but now you guys are in the training facility. How is it? Well, I don't think I could ask you this question because you're retired, but have you stepped in the ring, like in that little training ring, and how does that feel compared to being in a bigger ring?
Oh, I might be retired, but you best believe Chris Jones has been in that training facility. I'll give you a little tidbit. We've been in the process of training some new superstars, so I have been in the trenches with those new people, and it's a little different. I believe the ring that we use for the shows outside is 16 by 16, and I believe the training facility ring is 14 by 14. I could be off a few there, but it's less steps when you're hitting those ropes. It's a little stiffer, but I actually think bumping in the training facilities ring hurts a little less than the more normal size ring. But been in there, we've been training new people, and we'll have to get them readjusted to the bigger ring outside. But training facility ring is a pretty decent ring as well.
Okay, the reason I asked is because, like I said, I'm in the process of starting my own company. I actually have a ring myself. I have one in my backyard. I went with the 16 by 16, but I think you guys actually have the backyard wrestling style where it's like lower to the ground. I actually went with the pro style, so it's a little higher. And boy, oh boy, I feel like doing some flips and stuff like you were doing. Just trying to jump over the ropes. I've tried to jump like over the ropes into the ring, and I cleared it one time, but that's not really my thing. I feel like if I ever do my stuff, I'm probably not going to be too much of a high flyer. As cool as it is, as much as I think I could do or feel like I could do, I feel like that just probably would be my demise right there.
A lot of people don't realize.
Like when you're in those rings, you really only get about maybe 2 to 3 steps when they throw you off the ropes before you're already right back in their face. And so that's the reason I asked about the training ring being that it's smaller. It's like I don't really see how you guys could even be able to move like that. So I think you guys are doing your thing. Just being able to move like that, and it kind of stinks that being in the training facility you can't go outside of the ring too much. But it also just makes for more in-ring, hard-hitting action, which is pretty cool as well. So, let me see. Did you, before you retired, had you ever had plans on going pro?
Well, actually, when we were all in high school, we started wrestling training at a very young age. I believe I was maybe started sophomore year into junior year. There was a local indie promotion in the city where we live at, and they would have us come in. We'd help them set up the ring, and in doing that, they would give us the ability to be able to bestow their knowledge upon us, do a little training here and there. And after a while, a lot of independent promotions, obviously, once you learn the ins and outs of the ring, they don't want you to do the stuff out in the backyard because they don't want like that negative stigma about being what they call a yarder or whatever. But a lot of people don't realize that some of the most famous wrestlers started and were big in the backyard. The Young Bucks. Young Bucks have never had official wrestling training. Young Bucks learned it all themselves. They built their own ring and stuff. But my junior year, I got really big into it, and they had whittled down a lot of people. They were making people choose between, either the backyard, our wrestling, or continuing with them. And it got down to me and I think two other people to where I was giving every weekend. I was going over to one of the owners of the particular independent wrestling company. I was putting the sweat and the blood in his backyard. That's where they would set up their ring and go through their training process with me every weekend. And then it got down to the point, like I skipped my junior and senior prom for wrestling training to go to their wrestling show. So I didn't get a junior, I didn't get a senior prom. And ultimately, I would say after I graduated high school, I made the final decision. After I'd done some independent stuff, I've trained with Dave and Jake Chris. They obviously had different names back then, but Dave and Jake Chris were part of TNA with OVE with Sami Callihan, if you watch TNA. I've met some people way before they were famous, but I decided that after I graduated, my time was best with my friends in XCW.
That's awesome. So next question, I don't want to hold you too long. Next question I have here is, who do you believe is the best superstar in XCW today?
I don't have no time limit, so you can take your time with anything. It depends. Are we talking about right now on the roster? Or are we talking about overall all time?
No, right now on the roster, current in-ring competitor.
Oh, since I'm retired, I won't pick myself. But right now on the roster, it's a toss-up. I mean, I'm really impressed with two guys, and I'll explain why. One of them is Brogan O'Shea. I know you've watched the product, you're familiar. Brogan O'Shea wasn't always as good as he is currently on the roster. There was a point to where it was essentially a make it or take it match where if Brogan had to wrestle Fletch, and like it was to the point where Fletch put himself in this position to help him, and if Brogan didn't get it in this match, we were going to have to part ways with Brogan. And as you can see to this day, Brogan is part of the XW product and has been killing it. Brogan was voted by the people Superstar of the year 2020. And then if I can't, and like it's a toss-up between Brogan and then another big name is Brady Branson, the All-American. And I've had more experiences with Brady because Brady started before Brogan. Brady had his time, and he wasn't very good when he first started. And we have our equivalent of the Royal Rumble, which is called Extreme King. And Brady knows if I'm ever asked anything about Brady, I got to bring up this Extreme King. There was a point to where the eliminations had got out of order or out of hand, so to speak. So you had Brady Branson, which is a baby face, and he was new. This was like Brady's first or second year. So he was still green. And it was all heels. So you had one good guy and all heels. And Brady he panicked and freaked out. And for the next 4 minutes or 5 minutes of Brady's wrestling career, it was really terrible in that ring. And then eventually I managed to get to Brady. I managed to calm him down, diffuse the situation. And now Brady is one of the top loved people in XCW. Brady is amazing.
All right. So this isn't a question I wrote down, but being that we asked who do you think is the best, who do you think is the worst?
Oh, man. And we're talking about current on the roster right now, right?
Yeah.
Man.
You can pass.
Nah, I'll answer everything. Right now, and it's sad to say, but it's a toss-up between Genocide, which is an XCW vet. He's been there for years, just like me. The very first named wrestling company I wrestled Genocide. And it's sad that Genocide is on this list because I know how good Genocide can be. He is sometimes Genocide doesn't get a lot of credit that he deserves, but currently on the roster today is Genocide. And then you said you've watched Cold Day. So the other wrestler I'm going to have to go that is kind of one of the worst wrestlers is Patrick O'Reilly. And the ironic thing is they're tag team partners. They just won the belts from Vengeance.
Yeah.
But
Wow,
it's not like they're not terrible, but I know because I've wrestled both of them. I know how good they can be, and I know both of them can do better.
okay. Well, so the person that I had in mind, apparently he must not be signed anymore because I figured that you would have picked Desmond Cross.
He currently is no longer with XCW at this point. I believe his last match was at Halloween Havoc, and he wrestled Fletch. And then XCW and Desmond Cross parted ways, but who knows what the future holds.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I just I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. We all saw the build up. You know, you guys even had him doing the little promo packages and stuff like that. And then he came out, and it was like, dude. I mean, but
You weren't the only one disappointed with how Desmond Cross's run turned out to be.
yeah, I feel like he should have been bigger than what he got to be. But hopefully, you know, something could work out. Like you said, hopefully something works out in the future. You guys may be able to get him back. You know, do some more training and stuff like that. So I actually watched the 2020 Hall of Fame, and for some reason or another, that I was thinking that you were the one who got inducted this year, but you inducted someone this year.
Yes.
So being that you're the class of 2005, and I know this is a long time ago, but how was it for you to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and was that the first Hall of Fame ceremony, or?
That's the first Hall of Fame I've ever been a part of ever for anything in general. And it's a lot different because back in 2005, we were pretty sure we were freshmen or sophomores in high school. So like we were extremely immature and we weren't as serious about – don't get me wrong, we were serious about our wrestling, but it wasn't like what we are today where we got the ring, we got the gear, we're almost amateur independent professional wrestling, essentially. Like we are the bottom. We're one step away from being independent. But back in 2005, we'll go to 2004 first real quick. I wasn't always liked in 2004. I'm going to be honest. I had a big ego in 2004. When I first came with XCW, I wasn't necessarily as like Fletch nowadays, as we've known each other 25 plus years. We're best friends. I'm at his house on holidays. But in 2004, if you asked me back then, like I would not believe you. That would not exist. I got pushed really quickly. April 16th, 2004, I debuted in a battle royal for the brand new XCW Power Championship, which back then was a weightlifting belt. We've definitely improved since then. And instantly pushed into a feud with Cynical, the guy that I inducted in 2020's Hall of Fame. And he's also one of the three members in that farewell match we mentioned earlier. But we both got pushed to the moon. May 7th, 2004 was the beginning of, if you've watched any of the side shows that XCW has to offer, whether it's the Men of Honors, whether it's No False Finish, anything that has to do with the history of XCW, you know that probably the biggest feud in XCW history is Chris Jones and Cynical. And Fletch strapped the Rockets to both of our backs and pushed us to the moon. May 7th, I wrestled Cynical. I don't remember who won. It was probably me. May 14th, I won the Power title from Cynical. So we only had it for 2 shows. May 21st in 2004, I beat the then world champion, Genocide. And then I go on to lose the Power title, win Extreme King, and go on at Greed in 2004 to win my first XCW championship. And like a 3-month span. So like I was on top of the world. A guy that I've only met a couple times in previous wrestling companies had pushed this random guy, Chris Jones, to the moon. And like nobody could stop me. Back then, I would always say I was the best. Nowadays, it's different. I don't have to tell you I'm the best. I let the people speak for me. You ask Fletch. You can ask Blackheart. He's been on my No False Finish shows. You can ask many different wrestlers. And when they ask who the best wrestler of all time is, you get a lot of Chris Joneses. You get a lot of Tommy Merrimans. You get a lot of Corey Lee. Some say Fletch. But, yeah, it was different because I never expected to be in that position. I believe the superstar of the year in 2004 was Cynical. I believe I won Most Hated, which was obviously what needed to happen. If you go back and watch 2004's wrestling shows, all you hear is all the little fans in the audience chanting Cynical. That's all you hear. Like Cynical would not even be at the show. You'd hear fans chanting Cynical. Cynical was the guy. And for me to go into the Hall of Fame in 2005 instead of someone like Cynical, probably because I had the extensive history of wrestling before then, but it's an absolute honor to be able to be one of those few people that weren't as good friends with some of the people on the roster, and then for them and the fans to pick me, and because I was a heel to like mid 2005 and like the top heel, people hated me, and it was an absolute honor.
Okay, so back then, did you guys actually receive Hall of Fame rings, or was there something different, like a
up until a certain point, I can't remember when, maybe late in the 16, 17, 18 era, but we would receive certificates. Like all of our Viewers' Choice Awards were certificates. The on-screen owner and operator, Emily Moore, she would go through and print off the individual certificates for people that won awards, whether it's most hated, most loved, best tag team, best world champion. So I got like several, and like I'm talking about a stack like this big of certificates in a chest in my closet from my wrestling career in XCW.
That's awesome. Let me see what I got here next. So, do you prefer to wrestle in singles matches or tag matches or stipulation type matches?
I prefer to wrestle in TLC matches, if that answers your questions. Like I said at the beginning of the interview, ladders is my thing. And if it's not a TLC match, I've been involved in what's known as a death match, and it can go by many different names: Texas death match, whatever. Death match is a homage to Hazard, and being able to be involved in the first ever death match at XCW was an honor. And but back to your question specifically, stipulation type matches are fun, but I guess it really depends on the opponent. If you're asking me like a Tommy Merriman, it doesn't matter. Me and Tommy don't even speak when we're in the ring with each other, and it's that point with like Fletch and a couple others where like we just know each other's like body language. Like if I take a move from Tommy and I go one way or I set a specific way, whether it be Tommy or Fletch, they know what we're going to do next. So I mean, you're going to get the best storytelling without the weapons, and it really depends on like how high the feud is. Like if you go back to 2019, 2019, where I wrestled Venom at Halloween Havoc, and for the world title, like it had been a whole year process. We had some things come up which prevented me from being able to partake in most of the 2019 season. So me and Venom told the story. I don't know how long you've been watching the XCW product, but we had this thing set up to where Venom would receive love notes after particular wrestling shows, and there'd be little clues of what the love note was from. Like there would be like from Philadelphia or something like that. It'd mention like a Chris Jones reference, a Chris Jones move, and which all ultimately led to the payoff with Venom, which I don't think me and Venom could have had the payoff if it was a singles match, which that match I believe needed to be a stipulation match, and we did the first ever Full Metal Madness match, I believe, and it was epic. It was the first ever in XCW. The world title was on the line, and if Chris Jones did not win that match, Chris Jones, Fletch, Genocide, and Hazard, the 4 original XCW members would have had to retire.
Wow.
So it really depends on the story that's being told. But me personally, I prefer more people in the match, just because you get a variety of interesting things. So if I had to pick, I'd pick a stipulation, and I'd pick at least 3 or 4 people.
Okay, so being that you like to be in TLC matches, do you like the match to be able to get hit with a weapon to show that you can take it, or do you like to just be able to go out and bash people?
Well, if you go back and watch my career, I've taken probably the most bumps on ladders ever. I like the story that we can tell with the weapon. I like, more than likely, I'm the one taking the move. taken, if you go back and watch the TLC match with Tommy Merriman from Halloween Havoc in 2017 or 2018, I took several power bombs on ladders. I've wrestled a fatal four-way with Tommy Merriman, Tyler Skaggs, and Evan Phoenix. And you got to see me jump off and give Tyler Skaggs, it's known as the zigzag in WWE for people that aren't familiar with the XW product, but I gave him a zigzag onto a ladder. I pulled him off the ladder and gave it to him onto a ladder. So just the things you can do, like you can do so much with tables, ladders, and chairs that it makes me want to, like, you make me want to wrestle right now.
That's real. So I had actually ran out of questions over here on my pad, but one other thing that I wanted to mention is I like I said, I watched you guys' last show, Cold Day in Hell, and I saw how you guys implemented the screen to show the entrance videos when you come out. I think that that's very cool. One thing that I would like to throw out there is if maybe some way, maybe if you talk to them first, or if I can get a hold of them, I'd like to put it out there that I'm willing to help you guys in production. In production wise, like I said, that I'm actually trying to start my own thing, and I noticed that, like, when you guys play the entrance videos, which is a small, something small, but like when you play the entrance videos, it's like he's just opening straight from the Windows Media Player, and you can see like the play button, you can see all the volume and stuff like that. And one thing that I would like to say is that there's a program called VLC Player where you can actually get rid of all that stuff, because I'm pretty sure you guys run it from a laptop and then you second screen it over to your TV. So with this VLC player, you can get rid of all that, all the buttons that pop up on your screen and stuff like that, and then your folder with all your files and stuff will be on the other screen, so they won't be able to see the mouse, they won't be able to see the volume button or anything like that. One other thing is, as far as editing, because I know Fletch, he says that he does all his own editing and stuff like that. This machine that I'm using currently to bring you my video, this is called the ATEM Mini. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about it, but this is called the ATEM Mini, and what you use it for is multiple camera switching. You can plug like 4 different HDMI sources, whether it be a computer, a camera, whatever, and just be able to multi-switch back and forth to them. So that way, he wouldn't have to spend hours and hours on editing and stuff like that. You can throw name graphics. As you see, I have your name graphic here. You can do a whole lot of stuff with this. There's also another device called a Stream Deck right here, where I'm using this to actually just press a single button to be able to split through the scenes and stuff like that, so I don't have to be standing right at my computer using my mouse and stuff like that. So there's a few different things that maybe you guys want to possibly try to invest in. These two devices together are only about $380 or so, and it would help cut down on production time or editing and stuff like that. Also, you guys, like I said, you can put a laptop in here to where you can actually stream your entrance video straight through the system, so that way the people can see it straight on the screen instead of having to pan your camera over to the TV and stuff like that. Just a few things. Also, I noticed that you guys had got a new announcer for your little commercials and stuff, and I think that's pretty cool, because the first guy, his voice was a little too dark, like ugh. So the new guy, I'm not sure who it is, but that's also one thing I want to mention too, is if you guys ever need somebody to do voiceovers and stuff for some upcoming events and stuff like that, that's something I kind of do myself. I used to operate a radio show called hashtag the PMC ENT show, so I do some things with like making promos and commercials and stuff like that, and all this stuff I'm willing to do free of charge. I don't want to intrude on anything, because I know that you guys are still trying to build as a company and stuff, so I'm not trying to come in and try to take what you guys are building or anything like that. I would just like to help the product a little bit. If at one point in time, I actually was streaming your one of your side shows, the shit sheet. I was streaming it on my UTV app, but after a while, I ended up having to upgrade my platform, which it started costing me more, and so I had to take everybody's videos off pretty much. But I have a platform where I could stream you guys' stuff on a live basis, and you can actually take the video player and put it directly on your website, so people go straight to you guys' website and watch it straight from there. I can help you guys out a lot. I mean, I do a lot of things with different apps, and I have a Roku app, an Amazon app, all kinds of stuff. So if you guys are looking for any of that type of exposure or anything like that, just let me know.
Yeah, I actually know majority of what you're talking about. I used to stream on Twitch back in 2000, probably 2014 to like 2017, and then work got more demanding, so not necessarily get to do that very much anymore. As for, I mean, XCW's got some stuff. I can't reveal no secrets, but XCW's got some stuff coming this season. I think everybody will definitely be loving what they got. And as for the old announcer, I don't know if I should say, the old announcer was a person involved with the show, so he tried to make his voice as different as possible so you couldn't tell. But yeah, I agree. The new announcers for most of the shows is excellent. He does a very good job. And yeah, Fletch actually does he does most of the editing, but he's also heavily involved with Blackheart. Blackheart deserves some credit as well because Blackheart helps do some editing for like a lot of the side shows and stuff. Like if you like Showtime. Showtime has like little clips we've recorded behind the scenes and stuff, and Blackheart puts them all together and does a lot of the editing. Blackheart also came up with the new logo for No False Finish. If you look at this season, I think in episode 3, maybe we debuted a new logo versus what the old logo was. We also debuted it's not really a new song, but if you pay attention, the song Bonsai Fed Up is a song we got from the YouTube free songs, because obviously YouTube with all their copyrights and stuff like that. There's actually 3 or 4 different versions of the Bonsai Fed Up song, so we might be able to incorporate some more of that into No False Finish down the line. But if you have any other questions you come up with, feel free to ask. I actually cleared my schedule for a while.
Okay, one other question I had is with all the side shows and stuff that you guys have, what is one of your favorite side shows to either be a part of or to just watch as a fan?
My show.
Your show, the No False Finish?
It's funny that I talk about it now because originally I didn't want to do No False Finish. It came about because there is a Facebook only. I'm pretty sure it's not on YouTube. You'd have to go back and look through all the XCW Shelbyville videos. But there is a like 35-minute show between Fletch and Hazard called The Controversial Interview. I don't know if it ever got put on YouTube.
I think I saw.
Where Hazard asked Fletch some hard-hitting questions, and I'm like, you should put me on the show. Nobody's more controversial than Chris Jones. Nobody knows people's secrets and been involved with as much as me. So that's all I really want to do. I just want to be a guest and have Hazard ask me questions. And it ultimately led to Fletch is like, hey, you should do a show. You're like the talkative guy. Like you can talk to anybody. And that's eventually what led to No False Finish starting. But if I'm not going to include my show, No False Finish, Fletch is going. He absolutely hates this show, but we got rained out, and I can't remember, like 2016. I think we got rained out, and there is a busted TV, completely unscripted, unplanned. We just wanted to do something wrestling related. It's on the YouTube, so you can go and look at it. But busted TV was Jeff Buster's essential, like kind of like a highlight reel of Chris Jericho segment or like the MVP Lounge back in the day. But he used to do it in the show. Well, we decided to have this busted TV, and it was Jeff Buster and LOL, which isn't a very common name these days either. And we just wanted to make, like, everybody was gloom and doom because another show got rained out. So, you know, Jeff Buster put on his mask, and I put on, everybody knows I played LOL. I put on LOL's mask, and we had a heyday. We had fun. We just made a lot of jokes, had a lot of fun. So if I'm not picking my show, it's got to be that busted TV. And then like really close to it is some of the tri-brand shows that they've done with XAWA and the FWO guys.
Dang, I had a question. What did I just ask you about?
You asked me what my favorite side show was.
Oh, your favorite side show. Okay, so I I forgot what I was gonna ask you now. So I'm sorry. I actually like I said, I ran out of questions over here, but I appreciate you actually staying on this long. I didn't think I was gonna keep you this long, honestly. I feel like you maybe had something to do today. We've been running almost about.
It's not very often you get asked from a person from a completely different state that's a fan of your product. It's not very often you get asked to participate in something like this. And like I said, I appreciate for you wanting to have me on the show in the first place.
Oh, no problem, no problem. So, that's like I said in the beginning of the show. One of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you is because, like I said, I'm trying to start my own wrestling company. So, what are some of the things that you now? Before I even ask this question, let me explain to you how I was planning on doing mine. So now, initially, my company is not supposed to be a backyard wrestling company. Like, I want to be able to get a facility to where we can have our own building. We don't have to worry about transporting the ring, breaking in, you know how all that goes with breaking down the ring and having to move it places.
Oh yeah,
sure. And just being able to have our own facility, it would make it better. So where I could have because I plan to have pyro. I have some flamethrower machines. I have fog machines. I'm gonna get some cold spark machines. I plan to like actually go pretty big with it and stuff. But so what I plan to do is I was going to there's actually going to be fees involved because of course there's training, there's people got to spend time, money on everything, so there's going to be some fees involved. But with the fees that I actually incorporated from everyone, I was going to try to use that to get my own little facility built, like I said, so that way we don't have to worry about transporting rings and doing all that. Now, what is something that you could kind of give me some pointers on as far as like if I should charge people or if or just anything that you could input on me being able to start my business on a successful basis, but aside from it being a backyard wrestling company, because I feel like if I were to put out a statement right now and say, hey, I'm looking to do a backyard wrestling thing and everything is free, I'd probably have a line of people at my door like, hey, I want to do this. But if it's free, now see, my thing is I'm not sure how you guys operate. I'm not sure if you guys are actually getting paid to do this or if this is just something that you do for fun. But I actually wanted to start it on a scale where we can sell tickets, people actually get paid from their jobs. We're gonna have commentators, the whole 9 yards, security guards, people to operate the pyro, people to operate the music, people to operate the lights, the whole shebang. So I want to do it on a scale where people could actually make money and not say, hey, I'm wasting my time doing this, especially if you get hurt and you're not making no money. What's the point of wrestling if you're gonna break your neck and not be able to get compensated for it or something? Then you just wasted you almost ended your life for nothing. So what are some of the things that you would give me pointers on as far as being able to start this on a successful basis?
Well, I got some few pointers I can give you, but a question like this would be something more adept to someone like Fletch. Fletch doesn't get a lot of acknowledgement for some of the things that he's done. He's commentated for independent wrestling promotions. He's refereed for independent wrestling promotions. The guy that actually trained Fletch to be a referee is in WWE right now. I know I can't remember his last name, but his name's Jason. He's like a producer backstage as well. One of the independent promotions in town, Fletch was producing their show for them and commentating alongside Hazard and stuff. But I do have some pointers. First things first, laws are probably different in your state versus ours. Our very first show in 2004, we tried to sell tickets. And like we sold some tickets or whatever, but it wasn't nothing serious. And like there's like certain laws and regulations. Like if you're going to have an independent wrestling promotion, you got to have insurance and stuff like that to be able to charge tickets. You got to have like a business license or whatever. But like as for like the political aspects of running it, do it with people you trust. If you bring in a whole bunch of people that you don't know, that you aren't sure how trustworthy they are, then, you can get the proverbial knife in the back down the road. But like if you do it, like if you know you got a lot of friends or whatever that that are interested, do it with your friends. Do it with people people you trust. Because the independent wrestling business can be full of politics, and if you're if you're in the trenches, so to speak, with some of your best friends, like if XCW were to ever be independent, Fletch wouldn't be in the trenches alone. He'd have me. He'd have Genocide. He'd have the proverbial core group that would never let Fletch falter alone. Like we rise together, we fall together. Do it as a team, and get people that are genuinely interested. If you get people that are interested, well, I'll come do a show this month or whatever. Then you, like, if you're doing once a month show, so to speak, you get someone, well, I'll come do the show this month, and then like, oh, I can't do the show next month, and like they're your world champion. Then what do you do? Yeah. Then you got to rewrite the show. You got to decide what's going to happen the next few shows out. But if you're doing it with people people you trust, you won't falter alone, and you might rise to the challenge and succeed. Starting a wrestling business isn't easy. XCW is the longest reigning, almost longest reigning wrestling business period in Shelbyville. There's been 2 independent wrestling promotions. I don't remember the one that trained us. I don't remember when they actually opened their doors. But XCW's been around since 2003. And that's like 21 years the XCW's been open. And it's went from backyard to essentially amateur professional wrestling. Like, you got the ring, you got the gear, you got a core group that are knowledgeable enough to train the new crop of talent that are coming in. So if you develop like that basis, I think you'll succeed.
Okay. All right. That's great advice. Like you said, finding people that I feel like I could trust. Because, I mean, there was when I first got my ring, I had a couple of guys that were like, oh, yeah, I'm down. I'm ready to start this. And they felt like they were going to be, right there next to me. But, well, I think one of the things that played a factor is, of course, the COVID and stuff like that. But also, like I said, I'm incorporating fees. And I do live I don't know how big your guys' town is, but I live in a very, very small town. It's probably like maybe like 30, 40,000 people here in this town. And that's
probably more than we have.
And that's including like a bunch of little kids, like we got like 3 or 4 elementary schools and a bunch of high schools and stuff like that. So, and see, the thing is, I'm not just opening it to people in my city. I want people from all over the place to come out and join and stuff. And like I said, that's the reason I want people to be able to get paid. So if you're having to travel, at least you're getting compensated for your travels. And you know how it works. Like, you might go and work a 5-minute match. You might work a 10-minute match. But if we have a big crowd, depending on what we make and stuff like that, you're able to get more than what a match is really worth. If you think about it, you might make $100 and only be in the match for 2 or 3 minutes.
It's a lot more difficult, I will say, than what people think. Like local talent, so to speak. Obviously, you don't travel, so you're less on the totem pole of pay. We'll say pay wise, versus someone that travels or is a big name. Like, because a struggle is going to be, you're starting this brand new. You're not going to have that recognition right away. So, like you said, you want people to be able to come and do it. Get people that want to come for the love of the business, because you might have 20 people in the audience, you might have 10, you might have 200. You never know when it comes to an independent wrestling promotion. You have people like John Moxley, Seth Rollins, all those people you see on TV, they've wrestled in front of crowds that had 10 people, 5 people, 200 people. You just never know. But you're trying to get out there. You want the recognition. You want to get your name out there. There might be a night where you're wrestling for a Coke and a hot dog, for all you know. But you got to gain that recognition, and the more recognition you gain, be like, hey, we got so-and-so company in wherever at New Mexico you are. We got so-and-so company down in New Mexico. Let's go sit through a show and check them out. And they go watch your show. They watch your product, and they're like, that might be a show we're interested in doing.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate all that advice. Hopefully, I'm able to get this stuff going pretty soon, but we'll see how that goes. And like I said, I don't really have any other questions, so I think I'm going to go ahead and let you go. We've been streaming for about an hour. Is there anything that you would like to say? Anybody you want to shout out, or anything that you want to plug? any what is it, scoop you could give us
Social.
maybe, or social
Um,
medias as well?
well, to give some hints about XCW season, if you've watched No False Finish, which is my show, we have multiple special guests. We have the episodes where we do shoots with other people, shoots, and Fletch is my main co-host with me. We've mentioned upcoming changes to the New Age Championship, so that's something to check out for this season. We have amazing superstars. We got a set of talent we're training that are going to be up and coming. Anything you're interested XCW wise, you can go to the XCW Facebook page, XCW Shelbyville, and I'll give you a link to our XCW website. We also have an XCW YouTube page. You can check that out. There's also an XCW TikTok. Big shout out to the Fletch, someone I talked to before I did this interview today. The owner of operations for XCW since 2003. One of my best friends. We've been in the trenches together. We've made each other bleed. We've fought. We've scratched for everything that XCW has become. So definitely go check out the XCW YouTube page. Check out the Facebook. Check out No False Finish. Check out the Dinner with Destructions on the YouTube page. All the old shows, they're up there. Check out the Farewell show we mentioned with my best friend Cynical and Fletch. The best XCW wrestling match of all time. That's not even in a ring. That's how good we were back then. But big shout out to Fletch and Cynical. Without Fletch and Hazard, there is no Chris Jones, so they deserve plenty credit. XCW is as big as it is because of Fletch's hard work and dedication, determination, all the hours of editing and writing and training and all the stuff we've done in the past led to the point where XCW is what it is today. If you want to follow me on anything, you follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is CUnit123123. You can also find me at CUnit Chris Jones on Twitter. But as for that, any further questions, you can just hit us up on Facebook, hit me up on Twitter, and that's it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Chris Jones. My name is Mr. Smash Every Blazing Record. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode. Hopefully, I can probably get some other roster members to join me and see what their take is on some of you guys' product as well. But that's going to do it for me. That's going to do it for Chris Jones. This is another episode of The Sit Down Show. You guys have a great night.